Hello Tarot fans, and welcome to another edition of Blue Sicx Tarot. I'm your fantastic host Blue Sicx. Thank you very much for watching. Now today's video is going to be special as it's the 3rd anniversary of this channel. So to celebrate I'm going to be doing an unboxing because I'm very bad at planning stuff ahead. However, if you are new and haven't done so already, do the standard YouTube stuff, like and subscribe, leave a comment below. I always like to reply to those, and don't forget to hit that bell for notifications. And all the links to the other stuff I do on my social medias is in the description below. And without further ado, roll on that intro. So today we'll be looking at the Seer Tarot by Chris Ann. The last video we did, we unboxed the Muse Tarot by the same creator. So I've seen this floating around a lot. It seems to be very popular at the moment. So we'll take a look at the box on the side. So we have some nice designs on the side. This is done by Hay House. Who I have a lot of their Oracle decks. Now I don't usually talk about this, but the box itself feels quite smooth and yet kind of slippery. So be careful in the handling of this. So we have this bit on the back here. Go into a bit more detail. We'll whip out the old tape measure. So the box itself is just past 5 inches, so just slightly over 13 centimeters. And it's just over 3 inches, which is about 8 centimeters. So we'll have a look at the box itself. Now I have a feeling there's going to be a nice little print inside, and there is. I was correct with that one. And so he says, and into the grey we follow, like 1,000 flittering stars, and there in the sunlit hollow, sunlit hollow, we lose and find what is ours. She's kind of nice, and it's got the nice little quote there, so that's pretty cool. Let's check them out. So we've got the book itself. The book is quite thick, so I'm going to have a quick look through it. So it just seems to be in one language. Once again, with some of the stuff like the Scarabeo has it in various languages, but this just seems to be in English. And so oh, that one looks quite nice. Working and healing with the tarot. So I do quite like that one. That's quite nice. Just a nice little forward. We've got a nice little breakdown. So it's just the majors, the majors and the minors, and an acknowledgement and the about the author. So we've got quite a lengthy description of the cards. So obviously we've just got the card at the top there, and then quite a bit of detail. A nice quote here. And it appears, yeah, so it's just like 2 pages. It's just like 2 pages for each card, and so it's quite a lot of cards in there. So that explains the thickness of the book. And there's a lovely picture of Chris Ann there. The cards themselves are wrapped in the paper, which is always a bit more environmentally friendly. I've already unwrapped the plastic that's usually around them, because you don't really want to see me take off plastic coverings. Just remove the paper. Sometimes I keep the paper in the box depending on how I want to use the cards. Sometimes I keep them, sometimes I throw them. The back of the card looks quite nice. I do like that nice detail. The cardstock itself feels a bit papery, not too thin, but doesn't necessarily feel as firm as some of the others, so I'd probably handle these with care. So now we take a look. So we start off with the Fool, and the Fool is holding a large crystal. So I like how the name of the card is at the bottom here, and how it's done there. Once again, I think it was similar to the Muse Tarot. I was looking at that, I was wondering if that was like a rope, but no, that is just a stick. So they're kind of leaning, so they are still kind of leaning against the wind over the cliff. So I think that looks quite nice. So next we have the Magician, more of a hooded figure, dealing with water, but you still have the symbols of the 4 elements at the bottom there, and their infinity symbol, and this symbol here, which as of right now I can't quite remember, but I do like the writing at the bottom there. So next we have the High Priestess. So above them we have some runes, runic symbols, nice bit of jewellery and symbols on her top there. Nice earrings. Of course, got the crescent moon, and we've got these kind of turquoise things in the sides, kind of emblematic of the 2 pillars from the classic. Next we have the Empress. Now, the Empress usually representing motherhood. This is probably one of the best representations of that, as the earth is part of her stomach, which I think is pretty cool, and the energy coming from the moon into her body. I think that's probably one of the better representations of motherhood for the High Priest, for the Emperor. Looks like a nice chill dude. I'm all about that Ankh, and if you've been following me for a while, you probably understand why. Like the goat's head at the top is interesting, and a chess piece, so it does kind of show more of the man with strategy. Next we have the the Hierophant. Now his expression is very different to the kind of styles you'd usually see, but we've got symbols here of a few different religions. So we've got Hinduism, Christianity, paganism with the pentagram there, at the yin yang sign, a few other symbols I can't quite see properly now. Not quite sure the symbol on his t-shirt, but this is kind of showing more an understanding of religious cultures in general rather than one specific, and that being the stairway to our higher enlightenment. So I quite like that one. We have the Lovers next. Got a nice bow and arrow tattoo, which is usually a symbol of Sagittarius, if I'm not mistaken. I also find it interesting that they appear to be like older people, and so people probably more in their 40s and 50s rather than just, you know, the classic late teens, early 20s, which I like. You don't get a lot of grey hair with some of the more traditional tarot. So next we have the Chariot with the 2 different coloured horses. I like the stagecoach sort of look to the Chariot as well. I think that looks quite nice. And the kind of colours in the background have been really nice, with the nice look of sunset. And the man on top, not actually in control of the Chariot. He's just riding it, just kind of seeing where it goes. I think it's pretty cool. Next we have Strength. This is an interesting one. It's never usually been a fusion of the 2 with the woman and the lion. And I like the fact the lamb's there as well. I think it kind of adds a nice little kind of bit to it as well. That's quite nice, and the infinity symbol on her arm there. Next we have the Hermit, which I think looks quite nice. Not quite sure if they're sitting on the mountain or floating above it, but it's still quite a nice kind of serene sort of look there. The nice shades of blue. Next we have the Wheel, and yeah, it appears to have various triangular symbols in the top there, and the fact that there are coins kind of stacked on top of each other and they're balancing on top with fairy dice that you'd usually see in a car. Very different take from the classic. Next we have Justice. Sorry, for a minute there I thought that said it was a Roman numeral for 2. But yeah, this is very different as well. And the fact that this person's kind of being mirrored underneath, and the fact they've got a katana instead of a traditional, more Western sword with the scales with light and dark on them. I think that's quite interesting. So we have the Hanged Man. Now, when it comes to New Age style of tarot decks, when it comes to number 12, it's sometimes the Hanged Man, the Hanged Woman, the Hanged Person, the Hanged One, etc. So I always find it interesting what they do with that gender-wise. Just because I just find that quite interesting. But I like the fact it's one of those circuit ribbons with, once again, some more Celtic runes at the bottom there. And as I said, the background colours are really good. Okay, so now we have Death, Infinity, Renewal. That's a very interesting way to kind of have this card as well. Once again, it's not the traditional style, but it's always still quite fun. This card is always one of the more fun ones people work with, so I do like that, and looking into the infinite in there could. Next we have Temperance. So instead of water, instead of it being like water and them pouring water, it's just the sun and the moon, and dealing with both, which I think is pretty cool. So I've got the symbol of the sun on their arm there, and another symbol I can't quite see properly there, but oh, and the angel is almost didn't see him. But yeah, that's once again, it's a nice, interesting balance of the two. Then we have the devil. I keep forgetting the name of that symbol, but it is the symbol on the back of the Aleister Crowley deck. That name eludes me right now. The Thoth deck, that's it. So I do like the person at the bottom here, so it still has that representation of restraint or self-restraint, but it still kind of has that alluring kind of temptation towards it as well. Next we have the Tower, and that just being like a hill that's affecting wildlife, I think is quite interesting. You don't get to see it look like like something that happens within nature, because it's usually hit with it usually strikes a man-made building. Next we have the Star, and the Star looks really nice in this, in the fact that they're kind of tethered. Either the tether has gone down from the Star, or they are receiving it, or they're sending it up to the Star. It looks quite nice there. Next we have the Moon. Now we very rarely, because we still have the wolves on each side and the moon in the background, but you very rarely see someone underwater, so they are kind of working they've worked quite well with this. Once again, not a very traditional version, but a very interesting take on that. I do quite like that. Next we have the Sun. Once again, you've got nice beautiful rays coming down from the sun, and this just really fills up the card. You can really feel the warmth and the strength from this. I do apologise for the background noise. There's not a lot I can do with that, as it's rubbish day. So next we have Judgment, and instead of it being a classic version of just an angel calling a group of people, this is just the one person ascending up, and that is once again a very unique perspective on this. I may have to see if this person does more to see where they kind of take the other things. So next we have the World with an Ouroboros instead of a reef. I think it's pretty cool, and obviously you've got the 4 symbols here of the different types of angels. So now we start with the minors. So first we have the Ace of Wands, and this kind of this whole pattern here looks really amazing. Not quite sure the bit in the middle here, but then that could be like the spark of inspiration within your own mind or spirit. So we've got the Two of Wands, and I don't know the names of this style of staff, but they do look pretty cool. And it's got a nice little modern edge to them. It looks like they're planning a trip, and it's kind of, they're just waiting to kind of see. It looks like even if the weather holds up. So next we have the Three. I like the fact that these are lit, and being a surfer looking out at the waves, that's quite nice. It's almost like you can smell the kind of smell the salt. So we've got the Four, and this has a nice kind of festival vibe to it, which I think is pretty handy given the circumstances we are living at the moment, where a lot of people are looking forward to festivals and meetups. But yeah, this one has a nice energy to them. So next we have the Five. So this feels like it has less of a competitive edge to it, and it does feel more like teamwork, but at the same time it doesn't feel like they're all working together, as contradictory as that sounds, but it does have that feeling. It has less of a conflict feel and more of a chance of taking chances of opportunity. Next we have the Six, and yeah, this is has more of a concert feel to them with the lights at the top and the appearance of a stage. So this does feel more like a grand return for someone. Next we have the 7. Not as combative as the standard, but it does give off the feeling that they're still fighting back, but in a more relaxed, calm sort of way. This is just wonderful. This looks amazing. This 8 just looks so beautiful. I don't even know sure what else to say other than that looks great, and I'll probably have that as a phone background at some point. So we now have the 9. Now, once again, it doesn't have that. It doesn't have that as negative feeling towards it. There's not as much combativeness in the feel of this as compared to the Rider Waite, but it does feel a lot more. There does feel like a lot of inner strength towards this. And now we have the 10, and I like the idea that not all the 10 are being carried, but kind of lighting the way they have been rather than where they're going. So it does still feel like there is a struggle, but not a struggle in the same way that we're used to seeing. So now we have the page, and the page just looks like they're just having the best time. I also like the salamanders on the trousers there. I think it looks really cool. Yeah, so they're having a whale of time, still in the desert or in the beach. So I was just putting it out. So I was just checking to see if they all connect. These ones don't, but sometimes you get the court cards all kind of match up. So now we have the knight with the horse in the background, and once again, they are having a whale of a time. There is a lot of freedom in this, in the feeling of these. It does feeling like there's a lot of they're going with the spirit with this. They're just going with the flow and just embracing themselves, if that makes sense. Then we have the Queen, and I like the so I thought they were the cords for a hoodie, but no, it's for her earrings. I do like the fire symbol for her earrings there, and kind of having the light coming from the palm, and little candles, and of course a little black cat. Then we have the King, and he, once again, cool salamander t-shirt with all the triangles. I think it's quite cool. He doesn't look like he's having as much fun, but he does. He still does have that kind of regal feel to it, and the kind of a good feeling of spiritual strength. And once again, as I was saying with some of the cards earlier, that the age gradient feels quite good as well, because a lot of cards tend to kind of keep everyone about the same age, but there's enough in this where there's enough variation where it is a bit more realistic, for lack of a better term. So next we have the Ace of Cups. So of course this time it's coming, the energy is coming from their heart. I do like the little splash of water there. In fact, I think they are holding a bowl as well that's holding the cosmos. And we've got the 2, which I love this, with the rainbows here and the little rainbow band there. I may have to post this up online later on today. This will probably be posted before this video goes up, but hey, if you wind up seeing this on my live on my Twitter and Instagram, you'll see why. You'll know why, rather. The next we've got the 3 of Cups, and it still has that feeling of the 3 stages of I forget the name, but it's the oh no, I can't remember the names of them now. I feel bad. But yeah, so you've got the 3 main stages of witches, as far as I'm led to understand it to be. The starry sky looks really nice. I just love the shades of purple. It is very lovely. Yeah, it's just a nice, peaceful, calm card. Next we have the 4, and this one's quite interesting in the fact they've got the 3 bowls on one side, and they're being handed the really colourful bowl that's just kind of affecting the landscape here. So it's still that feeling of not really accepting what's being the positiveness that's being handed, but it's so positive it's even affecting this entire side. The light which comes from it is affecting interacting with her, with the background and everything, but she's not paying attention because there's still all this stuff here. So I think that looks quite nice. Next we have the 5, and it still has it with this whole kind of draining her spirit away, and some of that coming out from the fallen bowl. It still has that negativity. It doesn't feel as oppressive, as mournful as some of the other decks have this, but there's still that kind of losing of spirit, but not necessarily in a heartbreaking sort of way. Next we have the 6. I love this. This is lovely. Man's best friend, little kid is I love that. That's just really nice and sweet, and it does kind of capture the kind of traditional feeling of this as well. Although it just makes me wonder how old that dog's supposed to be, but I'm looking too much into it. But that's just lovely. That's just lovely. Shout out to all you pet owners out there. So next we have the 7. And this 7 is kind of interesting because you can't really tell much of a difference between the bowls, except kind of like some bits here and here. But it's still kind of, he does look like he's stuck for choice. Next we have the 8. Ooh. So this is just, so most of the bowls have already sank into this water. And this one's the last one to go, and they've just given up and just walking away. But the fact that most of these bowls have sunk into this water, I think, is really cool, and very interesting take. And rather than just seeing all of them stacked up and walked away, this shows more like all of this is gone, and it's better to move on than try and keep a hold of them. This is a very good 9. Kind of, they're underwater. Okay, so it feels like they're kind of unveiling their riches, for lack of a better term. That they're giving out their positivity. They're spreading the wealth. They're sharing their joy. And so we have the 10, and we've got all these beautiful coloured bowls, part of the rainbow. Kids, yeah. So and that looks like, and it's also weaved because I don't know what those things are called. I'm really bad at crafts. But yeah, a hammock. There you go. So it looks like they're kind of on like a hammock there. Loom with a loom, and so that looks really nice. And yeah, probably it has a nicer feel than some of the others do with the 10 of Cups. And next we have the page. I like that. I like the him seeing his own legs. That's pretty cool, and kind of stuff irradiating from his heart. Flying pig to imply he's still kind of a dreamer and a wanderer. And this bit here I think is quite nice as well. Next we have the knight. So I found it interesting that the court cards for the page and the knight for the wands were women, whilst the cups are men. So I think it's probably going to continue on like this. I like this kind of like handsome guy, not quite clean shaven. He's got a picnic with wine, grapes, a letter, roses, all sorts. So this is the Prince this is like the titular Prince Charming card. So next we have the Queen of Cups. And I like that the water level also looks like it's acting as a table, and the little water splash there being her crown. And once again, the symbol of water being on her forehead there, and a fishnet, which looks like a fish or a shell necklace. And she does look like she kind of gives out her emotions and shares them out with others. And then we've got the king. Once again, a very zen sort of looking guy. Once again with the crown there, fish necklace, and a nice boat in the background with this fish. Yeah, he does look like he's one of those people who would, yeah, he looks like a guy. He looks like a yoga instructor. Next we have, we now have the swords. So this is more about the mind. So I'm interested to see where this is going to go. So obviously we've got a symbol of chaos there. Saturn, I think. Infinity symbol, Mercury, and the Kabbalah as well, which is pretty cool. And some maths at the bottom. So we have the 2, where this woman is being attacked by crows, or they're putting together her fate. So not the classic 2 of swords, but we still have this symbol of air there, and 2 either 2 objects kind of crossing anyway. So they're still kind of showing their representation. It's classic representation, and she's sprinkling sand in the ground, and it's going in 2 paths. So yeah, that's still not quite the same, but it's still an interesting take. 3 of hearts. I was wondering how this was going to go. Yeah, very representational of the three here, with the heart in 3 pieces, and we've still got the Marseille version as a tattoo on her arm, and just kind of like a lot of bleakness in the background. Then we have the 4. So this feels more like repairing the heart from the previous card, and just taking time out to kind of rest, because you've got another rune on her arm, and like stitching done on the heart here. Then we've got the 5. Doesn't necessarily feel as the classic 5. It has that feeling of being left out, but not necessarily left out in the cold. So it doesn't feel as strong or as heavy as it would do normally. So then we have the 6, where this woman is being led by crows. Those of you who've seen some of my previous videos know that I'm quite fond of crows. I still need to get the crow oracle at some point, but that's probably for another video. But yeah, being taken by crows, by 6 crows, and is that a... No, it's not a ferryman, that's just another part of the boat, but being led by 6 crows I think is interesting. So next we have the 7. So this looks like an assassin. So this guy's just taken what he needs from the crows by the looks of it, and is now sneaking off into the night by leaving the major city. Next we have the 8. So she's looking at herself in a reflection. So this is more like she's not physically restrained, but she sees herself as restrained. So that's kind of, once again, an interesting take. So then we have the 9, and got a little ethereal crow there. A woman still weeping, but in an open field, but with a bed frame in the background, kind of like in the background. And these kind of seem like nightmarish crows. I think it's interesting the fact that these are crows instead of swords. It's an interesting way to look at it. Then we have the 10 of swords. Probably the most positive looking 10 of swords I've ever seen in my life. They're just there. There's an oppression there, but it's not as gory or as hopeless as some of the others seem to be. So, Page of Swords. I like the little light bulbs, and I like the birds here. I'm not very good with birds, but yeah, I do like these birds here and the coming down with light bulbs. And once again, still studying. Still an interesting thought of study there. So next we have the Knight of Swords. This looks like the same person from the 7. But with a crossbow, with a crossbow gun. That's kind of interesting. Heading towards a motorcycle, so it is that feeling of, right, stuff needs to get done, I'm going to go do that stuff. So now we have the Queen of Swords, and kind of a similar version to the classic, where she's kind of on a plinth, or usually on a throne, but she's on a throne with holding a sword, looking out into the sky, or in some versions she's just in the clouds herself, and with the air symbol there as well. So I think that's quite nice. Kind of not fed up with the... So she doesn't look fed up, but she looks more introspective. Then we've got the King of Swords, same again, different type of sword. So he's kind of got like a Western sword, whilst the Queen had Eastern. So he has a crow, a bat, an owl, and some other feathers around him. Oh, and on his shoulders. So yeah, so he looks more like a world-weary man who's kind of learnt the tough way. Bad guy, biker, sort of type of people we all love. So we now move on to pentacles. I never know whether I'm going to call them pentacles or discs or coins, but I prefer pentacles. This I like, with a bag here and maybe a bag there. It's not quite clear, but that still looks quite good with the kind of balancing and priorities going on there. Now this one's quite cool. It's a three here with the kind of stitching work going on. Once again, I'm not into crafts, so sometimes I have a looming dread of these crafts. Anyway, I think that's a great way to represent that. It does look pretty cool. And we've got the 4 of kind of the idea of not really sharing the wealth, or at least kind of hoarding it for yourself. Also, once again, another rune there. Then we have the 5. Now this does have that. Now this does have the kind of, once again, left out in the cold, but it looks too warm to be cold. But they do look like they're missing out. But the opportunity is still there, as there is a key to the door. Well, they do have the opportunity, but it's whether they feel that they do, or feel that they earn it or deserve it. And then we have the 6. A simple one here. A simple idea with a detailed design with the different pentacles. Still like the infinity symbol there. Different pentacles of different sizes being handed out, being given and received. So we have the 7 here, where they're kind of growing and investing to grow this plant here, and they're either giving the energy to, no, they're receiving it because it's coming out from their fingertips there. But it's a very, he's growing coin potatoes rather than it being out on the vine. 8, that looks quite funky with all the mortar and pestle there, lots of colours there, and then just like pen and paper and a quilt, and the 8 being different moon phases and different slight designs on them. I think it's really cool, really neat. Once again, the colours are just amazing on this as well. The 9, very similar to the classic. This woman's really enjoying her garden, all the different plants, hanging herbs up there. I do like the dress as well, it looks quite nice and summery. You know that's breathable, very breathable. Yeah, I also like different colours and different patterns for each pentacle there as well. So then we have the 10. Once again, very similar to the Rider-Waite, with the Kabbalah at the top, the nice little dog there. Assumed to be parents with the kids around. No old man floating around, but you know, doesn't have to be as ripped. So then we have the page. I like that. I do like the little kind of hood thing they've got, hoodie they've got going on. But yeah, so this does kind of seem, I like being paid. Oh, I do like the little. I do love this pattern design at the bottom there. Yeah, they seem to kind of. Oh, and that pattern there. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by all the pretty colours and patterns. But yeah, they do have that kind of. Not quite the classic, I've been handed this opportunity, but more like, okay, I've got it, now what am I supposed to do with it? So then we've got the Knight, where he's seeding the plant, where he's seeding the ground with the coins, which is a very interesting way to do that. So it's about financial growth and patience as well, because it's all about kind of investing your time and effort into something that's going to come along a lot later, and this is a great representation of that. So then we have the Queen, once again also another representation of motherhood, so The coin being near her stomach is always interesting. I like the vines she's got coming out from the hat. It's quite nice in the foliage there. She looks very comfortable with all those cushions. Then we go for the king. Almost dropped that. I go for the king. Very different from what I was expecting, but he has a nice little library there, so he's a learned man with a nice dog. Nothing really strikes me more as a merchant in this sort of regard, but at the same time, as I said, with the kind of books around him as well, it does imply that though he doesn't necessarily show his wealth, he is more of a man of wealth and means, but just doesn't really show it off. Yeah, so that has been the flip through and unboxing of the Light Seer Tarot. I think it's really quite nice. I definitely recommend this be a deck to buy if for beginners or experienced. Yeah, I don't think you'd be disappointed with this. But anyway, once again, thanks for watching. I hope you did enjoy. Thank you again for joining me on my 3-year anniversary, and I'll catch you all on the flip side.